Hey everybody, Bam Collectibles here, back for another edition of Authentic versus Recast. And you know, some people have busted my chops. I say recast. It can be called a bootleg as well, but it is a plastic or PVC recast of the original statue. Today we're going to be taking a look at the crossover between Cartoon World and Surge's rendition of Obito. The original statue came with Madara and a very larger base, so be sure to stick around to the end to see that. And thankfully, the packaging on this actually came immaculate. It was in great condition. Like some of the others I've had previously, it wasn't, but thankfully this one did. As always, I'm going to go ahead and rip out my grandpa, or as I call him, Papap's old knife to bust this thing open. I'm curious to know in the comment section below, did anybody else call their grandpa Papap? I didn't really meet many people growing up that did, but I always called him Papap. While we're going through this boring unboxing part of taking everything out of the plastic, if you haven't already, can you hit that like button for this video? And if you enjoy these authentic versus recast videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you are notified when my videos release. I do have about 2 or 3 of these planned in the near future, and you can vote at the end on which character it'll be. We are kicking this comparison off with the 2 unmasked head sculpts. Now, for the remainder of the video, I'm going to try my best to keep the recast on the left as well as the authentic on the right. Immediately, you can see the recast version is not that bad. This is actually going to be a theme that resounds through the rest of this video, is the quality isn't that far off. Now, you can see the textures of the hair. There is a lot more pointiness and sharpness to the original, but this one is actually not that bad when you get up close and personal with it. The masked version head is going to be my favorite for this statue, and immediately you can see the panel lining was not done well on the recast. Now, what panel lining is when they take some paint and thin it down with water so that it fills in all the cracks and crevices. In this instance, it was black, and we can also see the sculpting of the tassels or the kind of headband flowing in the back. We're definitely not as nice. Not too far off, but if you look at the quality, it is very different, and the shading on the bottom part of his neck area, it's actually spot on, I'd say. Right here is our first instance of having a plastic mold line, and because it's made of plastic and casted, you have this little line when they take it outside of the actual molding. Some things I wanted to point out is on the original, the left hand was sculpted separately as well as the head sculpt, and the base was also sculpted on separately, while with the recast version, it is molded exactly on there and glued. Both hands are on there, and only the head sculpt was done separately so you could swap them in and out. Because I can't remove the base, we're going to have to compare them just like this. If we look on the bottom, the recast is hollow, while the original does have a little bit of weight to it, but it's actually pretty lightweight for what it is, being resin, and it has a felt pad on the bottom so it can slide across surfaces very easily. But the quality and paint application, not that bad. Not bad at all. On the back, there's only one slight difference on this left side here. For some reason, on the recasted version, they decided to kind of cut a certain section off of it. And while here, there's the full version. I don't know if it's to save some room on the plastic, but it is what it is. It's not that bad. It's on the back of it. I don't think it's hardly noticeable. The largest and trickiest part of the statue to compare is always going to be the body, because there's so much surface to cover. So I'm going to do a general overview of spinning these just so you can see the quality from a distance. First off, let's take a look at the toes. For the recast, it looks like one giant glob of paint, pretty ugly. And then on the authentic, you can see everything was nice, detailed, and outlined. And as we move up the statue on the leg, the texturing on the authentic is incredible. The shading on the pants are just amazing. While if you look at the recast, it's very, very different. The texturing is not as much prevalent there. I'm going to go ahead and set down the authentic so we can grab the recast and take a closer look at things. Again, like I mentioned before with the print lines, immediately we can see on the left side of the chest here, there's a large line just going straight down the body. It is ugly, but you know, it comes with the territory. Overall, most of the details were painted very nicely and clean, except for this sword that's on his back, the little miniature sword. The parts on the handle there were done pretty sloppy. The Uchiha clan symbol was done with a paint sticker, so of course that's going to be pretty nice and clean looking. Where this statue is going to rise above as to one of the best recasts that I've ever showcased is the fact that I think Obito's outfit is not that complicated. We can see here on the authentic, you can see the sword is painted a lot more clean and nice looking. There's some shading also on the wrappings that hold it together. And overall on the authentic, you'll see a lot of shading in his outfit. It's kind of a purple or bluish tone outfit that bring out a lot of those details you see. This is the left hand of the authentic where the headband was sculpted already in the hand, while we'll see in the recast it was sculpted separately with a notch on it that fits into a key on the hand. Now, the paint job on these are very different. The authentic looks like an actual headband, very clean, while the recast, it does not look nice. So this is something that's very different. Now, it's not one of the most prime parts of the statue itself, but it is a difference. The key that fits into the notch here doesn't exactly fit and snug, so it is a bit of a pain to get in there. I'll show you up close what it looks like. I'm not sure why exactly they sculpted the headband in here. I guess it's to showcase that Obito always held Konoha as his home, but it's some kind of artistic touch that's left up for interpretation for however you want to take it. With the original statue, it came with an edition size freebie. As you can see on the right one, it's numbered there. And I think that this was recasted perfectly well. It's not that complicated to do, I imagine, but these do look great side by side. There's a little bit of a size difference, and the recast one does look bent, but once it's on its stand, I guess it's not that noticeable. On to the last, and I have to say the sloppiest part of this whole recast is the war fan. The handle was sculpted separately, and the area that it keys into is just not form fit. It's really tough to stick it in there, and it doesn't stay in there very well. I think because it's such a small handle and such a large fan piece. Here are both of them side by side. The white paint all throughout the recast is just so ugly and sloppy. That's what you're going to get with the recast, is they're not going to take their time. They're going to use as little paint as possible. And for this one, you can see the battle damage that is sculpted onto the authentic is just not as visible on that recast. One of my favorite parts of the authentic statue is the battle damage on the statue. It's sculpted all throughout it, and it's done by multiple layers of paint on there. A lot of those actual sculpting aspects is not what make it battle damage, but how they layer the paint onto the statue. Fitting the handle into the hand was a little bit more difficult for the recast because for some reason it was a little bit thicker, so it took a little bit longer than the authentic. As I mentioned before, the handle does not support the war fan very well. Just picking it up and a little bit of a shake knocks that thing straight off. Also, I didn't notice before because we were showing off the fan side by side. If you hold this one up, it actually has a slight bend to it. And that's what you get when you're working with plastic or PVC. It will bend or warp over time. So unfortunate, but I had to point that out as well. On the thumbnail, I did mention that it was 500 versus 50. Keep in mind that the 500 is for the cost of Obito, Madara, and that larger base. And you can't get Obito separate, so that's what it would cost if you were to get this one. So I'm not trying to make it too clickbaity. I want to be as transparent as possible, but that's what the original did cost if you wanted to purchase it, and that's how it looks with them side by side. All in all, if you are on a budget, these are not that bad looking together. I think the quality is pretty good for what you're getting, especially $50. Another thing that I'll mention as we're wrapping things up is that on the heads of these, for some reason, on the recast, it does seem a little bit smaller, and I think it looks a bit odd. You let me know in the comments below. Am I seeing things? It doesn't look like it's scaled properly to fit the size of his body with the unmasked head, but again, could just be me. Now is your chance to vote below. Again, in your comment, let me know, would you like to see a recast of Madara? Or maybe you'd like to see one of Guy? And lastly, would you like to see another recast of a Zabuza statue? So your chance to vote below. I hope this video was both helpful, informative for those that are getting into collectibles for the first time. And if you did enjoy this video, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future ones. And as always, everybody, do what you love and love what you do. Bam out.